The following program was produced by the United States Courts.
Hello, I'm Brigitte Lyles reporting with the United States Courts. Every March, the federal judiciary presents its request for funding to Congress. This year, officials warned that the deep cuts of sequestration could undercut the ability of the judicial branch to perform its constitutional mandates. Sequestration triggered harsh across-the-board cuts for the federal government in early March. Officials in the third branch of government are bracing for those cuts. Judge Julia Gibbons testified how this will impact the judiciary.
The 5% across-the-board sequestration cuts that took effect March 1 do reduce judiciary funding by nearly $350 million below current levels. These cuts will have a devastating impact on federal court operations nationwide. We believe we have done all we can do to minimize the impact of sequestration, but a cut of this magnitude, particularly so late in the fiscal year, will affect every aspect of court operations and impact the general public as well as individuals and businesses looking for relief in the courts.
Also testifying was AO Director Judge Thomas Hogan, who explained that several information technology programs that would save money in the long run will be compromised by sequestration.
That includes enhancement of critical financial management applications, processing payroll personnel actions, reviewing court financial operations, supporting probation and pretrial services, and the deployment, finally, of our national internet-based telephone system, which is a great saver of money, but will have to be paused in this spring.
Gibbons also testified that the judiciary will continue to offer buyouts and early retirements, but it won't be enough. Up to 2,000 employees could be laid off this fiscal year or face furloughs 1 day a pay period, the equivalent of a 10% pay cut. This is on top of the 1,800 court staff the judiciary has lost since July 2011. A week earlier, Supreme Court Justices Anthony Kennedy and Stephen Breyer testified that those types of losses in personnel would affect public customer service and ultimately public safety.
A very substantial part of that budget is for supervised release of those who are in the criminal system and for pretrial sentencing report. And this is absolutely urgent for the safety of society. We supervise more than 200,000 criminal offenders. Some of them are very dangerous.
And so at this moment, I would say the public defenders are below the level that would be minimal. And it does really seem to me that there is a serious problem in terms of crime, in terms of justice, in terms of adding costs to the system if you can't protect the defenders.
Gibbons testified that the judiciary does not control its workload, so any cuts are a difficult task. She added that the cost containment initiative the court used since 2004 has helped the judiciary deal with tighter budgets in recent years. Legislators recognize the judiciary's record of being good stewards of taxpayers' dollars, but they also pointed out that the entire federal government was facing the same deep cuts.
The judiciary's budget request this year proposes an increase of $180 million, or about 2.6% above last year's. And I know that this is one of the smallest requests that you ever made in the past few decades, and it's still going to be tough because of the fiscal situation we find ourselves in.
A big concern for several committee members was the state of Defender Services budget.
I'm particularly worried about our federal public defender program, where layoffs have occurred prior to sequestration and show no signs of abating. I am concerned that we are moving towards a troubling scenario in which our constitutionally mandated duty to provide eligible criminal defendants with legal counsel is substantially obstructed by a lack of funding.
Director Hogan acknowledged the very tough decisions ahead.
As Judge Gibbons recognized, I know this is a very difficult year for you and your colleagues as you struggle to meet the funding needs of the various agencies and programs under your jurisdiction, and we appreciate the challenges that you all face.
In the prior hearing, the Supreme Court justices argued that the relatively small budget of the judiciary should offer some protection from the draconian cuts under sequestration. In fiscal year 2012, the judiciary received a total appropriation of $6.97 billion. That represented a mere 0.2% of the federal budget. For each citizen's tax dollar, only 0.2 of 1 penny will go towards funding the entire third branch of government.
0.2% of the federal budget for an entire third branch of the constitutional government is more than reasonable.
A continuing resolution that will fund government at the sequestration level for the remainder of fiscal year 2013 is on the way to the president for his signature. This will require the judiciary to adjust its FY14 request to Congress. Tight funding and uncertainty remain. Reporting from Washington, I'm Brigitte Lyles.